Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue dans cette nouvelle interview avec le vampire. I've been told the C in avec, like I thought it was avec, but I guess yeah, avec. I'm panicking. Merci de avoir regardé. There you go. We made it through all right. Only panicked a little bit at the end there. Thank you, by the way. I know I say it a lot, and I said it once to the patrons because if you're watching this again on Patreon, patreon.com/MovieMan101, you are seeing this episode one, if not potentially even longer than a week in advance. Thank you to all my patrons over there. Last season, this would have been the finale, but we get one more episode this year, so we are in the penultimate episode, and we are queued up for one hell of a show. Just when you thought things might have somewhat of a relatively happy ending. No, Armand, I think he didn't really have a choice in the matter, all things considered, and perhaps there might even, I suspect there may be a plan or some way of him saving the day, because when I'm editing the previous episode, it wasn't even Dubai, it was 70 San Francisco. He says, is this to pay for my part in Paris? So, I mean, he definitely has that guilt, carries it with him, and I'm sure Louis has kind of lorded it over him to an extent where it still comes up in like arguments and conversations. So I'm a little bit worried. We got Claudia, we got the freshly turned Madeline, right? Madeline's her name, and then of course our boy Louis. The stage is set. They're going to be judged on a one night only show at Théâtre des Vampires, which I'm pretty sure this is going to end in the place burning down. But of course, Santiago gets the role of a lifetime as the judge over here. But we have a special guest waiting in the wings of Lestat de l'Anco. Many years have since passed, and we know, I think we can ascertain that Lestat definitely still loves Louis, because then we cut to 70s, 70s San Francisco, and that's one of the things that he was trying when Armand opened up the channel. Lestat's first words and concerns were, "How is Louis? Louis, why are you ill? Why are you hurt? Tell him I love him, Armand. Tell him I love him." I would say unless this is going to be a crazy episode that starts off one way and ends with him coming around to it, I'm sure the love is still there. I feel like Santiago and company, literally Santiago and theater company, they have this whole grand scheme, and they assume that because Louis helped in the attempted murder of Lestat, their founder, that there would be nothing but hatred and animosity there. But we know the one good thing about the situation is that the complicated nature of their relationship may very well save the day. So after posting the last one on YouTube, I already got the support on Patreon, but especially on YouTube, more have come out, and yeah, I just really appreciate it. We all kind of bared our soul in the last episode, and so hopefully I'm able to destigmatize whether you're a guy, gal, he, she, they, whatever. In particular, it seems to be like, there's a stigma around men and talking about like mental health and being able to like ask for help, seek out support systems, and have those hard discussions and such. And like even just talking about having ever been in that space, I want to make sure that like try to kind of destigmatize it and knock out that ridiculous stereotype. But some people came in my DMs, and I really appreciate that, and some people shared their story or their appreciation. It's all appreciated. So episode 14, I could not prevent it. We're gonna hop right into it. Oh,
It's gonna be okay.
damn.
Session 15, Louis de Pontelac, the child vampire.
And he's going to be immediately reliving this, like the trauma of that too. Because can you imagine, even if you've been a vampire alive for hundreds of years, the inherent trauma that comes with like being sacked and dragged somewhere? You don't know if you're like any second you can get like a bullet to the dome. Like you could be just murdered right there. So the fear and the adrenaline. I've never been kidnapped in my life, thankfully. Knock on wood. Oh yeah, and they have the old playbill, huh?
Claudia and her companion Madeline are...
Anyone want to start?
Well, it's probably pretty traumatic for both of them to discuss.
Abducted. Overwhelmed. Outnumbered.
Oh boy.
Armand sold you
I'm
out.
talking now.
Sorry.
Let him speak on it. Come on. Let him say his piece.
I'm clawing. Trying to bite anything that moved outside the sack. Straining for any sound of her. Any sign she was alive.
You're going to play too much like a coward dog. Okay, go let the frying pan
I heard when the rats found her. I could not go to her. I could not help her.
And finally.
I'm gonna try to keep pausing down a little bit, but did we just straight up? I mean, hopefully she's just maimed, but did we kill Claudia in the what? Dude, I hope not. Dude, shoved her into the rat cave. Oh my god, laughing as they did it. Burn all these bastards down. If they just killed off Claudia just like that, so unfortunately and unceremoniously, I'm gonna be mighty upset.
I fell in and out of consciousness.
Gruesomely! Sacks come off, your character's in a play.
Props in a play. A play that's been fully designed and rehearsed. And every actor on stage has scripted lines, except for us.
If the prosecution's evidence convinces you to
And if
condemn
we
the
attempted to
heretic
speak our unwritten parts,
We didn't know any laws.
Oh, she's
the
alive,
coven
thank
members sitting
God.
behind us would use their collective powers to disorient our minds, our hearing, a vice handle turning, jaws compressing the skull.
They were both trying to kill us.
There's no way out. There's no way out.
We've no need to hear from you. We
That's
have
unfortunate.
your words here
Oh,
in all that chilling premeditation.
oh my God. He gets still every single diary of her. How many violations? Whether you love her, you hate her, I'll be the first to admit, I give her a lot of benefit of the doubt because she was thrust into this situation. She still has carried out some evil and malicious deeds. I'll admit that. Like nobody in this show is perfect, and also they're all heavily flawed individuals who've all committed questionable, if not downright heinous acts. But my God, I feel like Claudia has been violated time and time, physically and sexually assaulted, like hands down. Had to listen as her surrogate brother figure, like as her brother basically gets beaten within an inch of his life in the same house. So like subject firsthand to a toxic relationship, abusive couple. You try to make a name for herself.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Of course, the natural racism of the world always getting her down. She's locked in the body of a child and is always going to be looked down because of that. Finally finds somebody, finally finds this little spark, a kindle, because goes to Romania, tries to connect with her people, finds somebody, has this dream laid out in front of her, and then the person throws herself in the flames in front of her. She settles for Perry, for Louis, and has to be content with a life that's still not what she wants. Finally finds a theater troupe, and they turn on her by the end of it, especially her like friend, and the whole coven. Coven turns against her for violation of laws. Even her little buddy Santiago finds a spark, a kindle of romance a la Madeline, and right as they are starting to live a happy life, has that yanked away from her. And then not only do her both of her dads read over her diary entries, but now the whole coven takes all the diary entries. So a gross violation of her privacy. It's just like death by 1,000 cuts, but these cuts are more like steak knives just going into her torso. It's crazy. Like all of these characters have received slights either by oh, come on, I muted the chat. All these characters have received slights in life, but also from each other, which is also crazy. But my God, there's just no peace. And now, how did you even get out of this one? This is the question. How powerful exactly? I mean, we know Armand's powerful. I feel like if we got to have a powwow between this entire coven versus all the vampires of Louis, Armand, Madeline, Lestat, like if we have a full, I mean, we might stand a chance. I mean, Santiago's powerful, but Louis seemed one-on-one could temporarily overwhelm him. We know Armand can freeze everybody if he wanted to, which also begs the question, where is Armand during all of this? I'm sorry, I want to get all that out. I feel like in the middle of the trial here, that's a fair little point, but man, and the cruel irony of then being involved in the very stage show that, Claudia took so much pride in. Even, oh no, 3.5 minutes in. What is this malarkey?
I shall be your angel of death, Lestat. You go on planning, quote, our future together, end quote. Well, I have
And
already planned yours. Not much time left, Lestat. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Jesus.
She had us all fooled.
Oh.
Accused must stay silent and must stay seated.
They'd crippled you.
Ankle tendons
Oh.
slashed to the bone.
Oh my
Wounds
god.
that would not heal before the curtain fell. Set dressing, nailed to the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
And when the fight went out of Claudia, a growing sense of nausea took over me. I could feel a presence in the theater, a familiar scent.
Begotten of Magnus.
The audience was leering and feral. We were on trial for murder. And all I could think was,
First and only witness. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
he's coming.
the victim.
But of all people that would understand the situation, and look, Lestat at the end of the day, oh man, I'm so curious. Maybe he'll play it up for the camera, like maybe he'll play it up for the stage, right? But back of his mind, he's got like there's the Lestat that Louis had imagined, the dream Lestat. At first, he was fearful of him because he assumed he'd be a vengeful spirit. And sure, it was right as he was his happiest, right? Just like in episode 1 of this season, where he's like, as Lestat, he's thinking, I'm gonna wait until you're the happiest, then I'm gonna take it all away from you. And sure enough, where was he? In the cafe at his happiest, and boom, it's all come crashing down. But Lestat also has to know, although Louis did these things, he didn't kill me. Like, if he had wanted to kill me, I would have been burnt up to a crisp. Like, I feel like it's tit for tat in a way. Lestat beats Louis to within an inch of his life and doesn't kill him because he loves him. Louis literally poisons and slices his throat open, but doesn't kill him. Instead, he just sends him off to a junkyard to slowly heal over time because part of him can't let go because because they both love each other, for better or for worse. I feel like Lestat would realize that. Like, he's a very smart, sophisticated guy, driven by emotion oftentimes, sure, but...
Monsieur Lestat de Lioncourt.
Okay. I'll try to keep interruptions to a minimum. I am insanely curious about what he'll say. Scanning for Amon too.
I prefer the old place.
Like the tie.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
It's a grubby little century, isn't it?
I feel just like them. Pins and needles, edge of my
A very
seat.
special book for you to swear upon, Monsieur de Lioncourt.
Which would be...
Written by the vampire Claudia, in which your last words are recorded in your own blood.
I swear, in my own blood.
Monsieur de Lioncourt.
Can I have his weight?
You've
Can I have his
returned
figure?
to Paris because?
I have a box at Roland Garros for the men's doubles. I'm gonna train the Australians if they win.
He's off script already.
And a croque madame at brasserie.
Oh, but he's playing to the audience, of course.
And justice for the attempted murder of my being.
Ah, yes, good, right. That outfit, by the way, from Santiago, like, so extra. Dude,
It's
how
their
thin...
turn to hurt.
How thin can a
He's
waist be?
back. In the flesh.
It had all the hallmarks of a hallucination. Lestat, at last, come to kill us. But no, he was real.
So your new boyfriend sold you out to your old boyfriend.
Okay, all right. I sold him out.
And then he put you on a show trial
Yes.
in front of a live human audience.
That's right.
Let me guess. The star witness's testimony was scrupulously impartial.
Take us back to the beginning if you will,
Oh.
of this story of butchery.
It's a story of love, not butchery.
What?
Okay.
It's a story of love.
Am I gonna be like? Am I right? Like, is this gonna be a pleasant surprise of Lestat being like, yes, it's a sordid affair, but it's a story of love. I'll shut. I'll shut up. Santiago trying to keep it all together. Oh, come on, Lestat.
Love. He's always been difficult for me. My first paramour, Nicolas de Lafont, a violinist.
Belonged to this very theater troupe.
Briefly, yes. Fragile mind, prone to corruption. Heartbreakingly beautiful boy
Dude, Madeline's just like...
of immense talent.
Nicky went insane. He died by his own hand.
Oh, with a little help from others.
I followed Lestat's gaze and saw Armand in one of the boxes.
Can't even look in
It
the
stopped my
eye.
heart until I saw the vampire Sam standing next to him, blocking his exit. He was as much of a captive as we were.
You were forced to watch.
A painfully close view of the stage,
Or what?
or they'd kill me.
It was a part of his punishment.
Aren't you
Just a
powerful?
clarification for the readers. To save your own life, Armand, you f***ed over Louis, Claudia, and Madeline, and then you sat in the best seat in the house watching the consequences of you f***ing them over.
He had a lot to account for, but he spent the whole performance calculating a way to save me.
Well, that's good. What we're eventually leading up to, because I was about to say he's literally been able to. Granted, they weren't on the defense; they weren't on their guard, but we've seen him stop this whole coven in their tracks just with the power that he has. So you would think he'd be able to do it now, but I guess if they're all super concentrated and they have a united front, they would have prepared for that as well. So fair.
An unfathomable sadness
Oh my
seeped
God.
into me with
Of course, he
Nikki's
wrote
death.
that.
I buried myself in the dirt, Porte Neuilly, in the outskirts of Paris, and I lay there for 100 years. Napoleon marched his drinks cabinet across Europe while I mourned.
But even a century underground could not obliterate the pain of Nicolas' death.
I did what many have done when too many ghosts haunt the old world.
You left for the new one. Bobbed the Atlantic in search of America's star-spangled shores.
Santiago trying to. Oh, you see his face, dude. No. You don't upstage Lestat. Ooh, this is funny, right? Because while part of me is so excited to see him here and like involved back in the drama, I still don't love him. There are some things I know about him, and knowing about these things, you don't upstage Lestat. Lestat upstages you, baby. Like, babe, right now you think it's your show. He would not let it be any other way.
I disembarked for New Orleans, the humidified daughter of Paris.
And who did you meet there, Monsieur de Liancourt?
Also, just realized the box he's carrying with him in all these videos looks eerily like the box that's given to him by the, I guess the executor of his will, right? When this box that he's presumably carried around with him for centuries, literally buried himself with, having the feeling that he would die, or like loving Louis so much that he knew that if I die, I want him to have this. If that is the same box, I'm making that connection there. That means a hell of a lot. His previous paramour didn't give it to him, did he? No, he gave it to Louis, which begs the question. My first paramour, was Louis only his second love? Was like his second and final love, maybe? I don't know. Oh. Shit. Can't even say his name.
Louis de Pointe-de-Lac.
Let the court record show that the victim pointed to the accused.
I didn't point. I merely glanced his way.
I'm about to violate the fifth.
Keep calm, carry on.
Oh, I want to see those two go at it.
I first saw Louis in a street brawl.
The accused
Couple of queens.
was a troubled man. A failed sugar farmer, a brothel keeper.
Forced into corners by his race, alienated from his own desires, American Puritanism mangling his very soul.
Disreputable, cold, violent.
Hush now.
Louis first accosted me in a pleasure house, and then everywhere I went, as if by happy accident, there was Louis, offering to be my chaperone. His eyes sliding down me. I was being hunted with every breath, every heartbeat, every sidelong glance. Louis was saying, "Come to me."
Come to me? Those are his words. He kept
Appetite.
Jesus.
How do you know that it was not your own voice, Louis? Speaking your own unspeakable desires, screaming them in the darkness. in the hopes that I would come to you.
Oh my god. Pop the damn blood vessel. Are we gaslighting right now? Now we have Louis and Armand sharing this tale, and so far we know both of them have their share of biases when telling this. I wish, give me a fucking episode where like you just follow Lestat. It's just, I don't want to keep hearing stories about this man. I don't want. I want to be able to dole out proper judgment. I really do. And I've been. I remember the early days of season 1 where I was crucified. I was crucified. I was criticized. I was dragged to the streets. I was dragged to the streets for my condemnation of this man. And I would love to be able to make an appropriate analysis and judgment call on him, but I can't. Like I can't. Because I have not had any first-hand accounts from the man. I mean, this, you could argue saying, okay, well, there's so many witnesses here. How could this not be accurate? But literally, again, we are being told this story not by a room full of people that are recalling it, but by 2 people that, as I said, have already been kind of biased and choosy. The Odyssey of Recollection, San Francisco, memory blocking here, and all the, like, it's already very fallible. Like, because then I don't know whether to judge him in the moment and say, oh, he's gaslighting and he's trying to deflect blame, like, as a person, or if literally this is once again Lestat being painted a certain way. I just can't say, and that sucks so hard. So if that's all true, then whoa, plot twist, what a crazy revelation and be the pic that's what actually happened. But I feel like it's the picture merely being painted, like, and it's not an accurate picture because the picture's being painted by a guy being instructed by somebody else who's like half blind, half deaf.
It's your line. Lestat.
And after the outbreak of Nikki,
And after the heartbreak that was Nikki, to feel such hunger again.
The accused called to you from within a church.
Could be trauma
where
for
he
him.
was confessing his sins to a priest.
I destroyed that priest and another right in front of him.
Yes.
That's true.
Showed him what enormous power you possessed.
I offered Louis myself instead. What I am, my companionship. And I offered it to him in the church, on the altar.
And with the 2 dead priests in his purview, the accused raised up his hands and took your face in them with a kiss of acceptance.
How far we've come.
Did you say something?
Oh.
Men embracing men. It disgusts you.
I'm pretty sure it disgusts a whole lot of people.
Oh. You thought it best done. You vomited into your foxhole often, but what you didn't do, Corporal Donny Chaffin, is fire your M1 Garand rifle a single time. Germans overran your line, and 3 days later, you ran off into the Belgian forest, during which time your friend, who you share a matching tattoo with, Private Ernest Hughes' arm was shot off. You tried to desert, but you couldn't read your map, and eventually you stumbled back to your line and claimed you'd been lost in the fog. There are 14 men who served their countries honorably in attendance with us this afternoon. They may, like yourself, be disgusted by the transcendent love between 2 vampires of the same sex, but I wonder, where lies their disgust now?
Love it. Yo. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Nice. Put him in his place. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Louis
I love
didn't
it.
take to vampirism.
Quick little aside.
Louis did...
Line.
The accused didn't take to vampirism.
Oh, what's that,
Crippled
Santiago?
by qualms, he drank only from animals.
I didn't want to eat people.
He didn't want to eat people. You get it? It's
You
only
leave that
him.
woman alone. She's in a damn trance.
Louis was fixated on the loss of his humanity.
Heaven
His
forbid.
estranged family.
He not only rejected vampirism, he also rejected you.
Louis was deceptively agile with words. A trenchant form of verbal amusement. There was a night when he told me I'd be alone forever.
A word of context for our jury. The single worst thing that a vampire can feel is loneliness.
It's a 40 experience right
Do
here.
they not know this?
How could they?
Dollar Store Pete
Take my
Holmes.
hand.
Oh,
This is loneliness.
This is vampire loneliness.
You want to crawl up and die, don't you? There was a night when one of Louis's infrequent kills upturned the city, and he threatened me with this loneliness.
Shame on you!
He abandoned me in our townhouse. I didn't know if he was ever gonna come back.
I closed my eyes and waited for the fire to take me.
When do we
I
get
just prayed
to
it wouldn't hurt too bad?
make fun of her for it too? Oh
But he
my
came back.
God.
He did.
Salty queens. When are we gonna get to what
With
you did,
her.
Good
Lestat?
luck on how that f***er didn't ask. Gave me no say.
A child.
14 years old.
Recalling her
and minutes
transformation
from death.
weeks
Good
after
luck
the
on how
event. Pissed by lies fed to her by Louis to soothe her relentless questioning. I told Louis, 14 forever should be a cripple.
Lestat stood on that stage, took all the familiar pieces of Louis's life, defiled them, bent them into a Lestat-shaped effigy.
But some of it now.
Oh,
What?
we getting some truth.
I remember
Let
being
it
out
flow.
of my body at the time. I was in Paris, but also in New Orleans. Lestat took me there.
14 forever should be a cripple.
Oh,
She's going cold. What do we do?
Nothing. We do nothing.
She's dying because of me. They lit her building on fire because of me.
They lit whatever fire you're talking about with their own free will. You do not know this girl.
Make her like us.
C'est impossible. Elle est trop jeune.
Please, I can't have her die.
The gift cannot be given to children.
What do you mean? Yes, it can.
The great laws forbid it.
Great law. She's gonna die in front of us.
But he was in a terrible panic. Guilt had seized reason.
that
You
is.
know you can do this.
And she'll be what? A lapdog. A daughter.
I'll stay. I'll stay. I'll never leave you. Ever again. I promise.
But there was a light in his eyes.
Please.
A light I'd not seen for years.
Because we knew that he did it for him at the end of the day, but we're getting like different versions of the story that we've already been told. Like this, that seems a lot more passionate than the first. Well, no, I shouldn't say a lot more passionate, but almost a lot more manipulative on Louis' part, which, given the dire straits he found himself in mentally and emotionally, would also track. So the question is that Lestat would be powerful enough in this circumstance to. I mean, we know most of the vampires like can do this, where it's having one conversation, but at the same time mentally taking somebody, like mentally talking to somebody else, or in this case, walking somebody down through memories. So the question is this like Lestat's interpretation of what happened, or is this Lestat showing Louis, like, is this Louis actually accurately recalling that during this trial, Lestat took him aside and showed him how that scene actually played out, which has some marked differences kind of in the emotional manipulatively emotional words of that variety of how that scene played out. Where instead of leaving like he threatened he would and saying you're going to be alone forever, he said, turn her and I'll stay with you. I'll never leave you. And then basically saying what he can, asking for what he wants, begging for it, so that he can get his way, even if he's not going to be true to his word later.
Because I knew the wisdom of the great laws.
But why would he be touting the great laws?
I knew pain and anxiety would be her only birthright.
To myself.
She will be at war with herself. She's of an age where her emotions will soar and plummet. Mountains and valleys every day of her life.
I don't care.
Well, you must care. Her mind and her spirit will age, but the world will treat her as she is now.
I'll found her in the fire.
And she will be miserable, and you will love her, and it will spiral beyond your reach.
This is to be believed. He tried to warn him, but he wouldn't
You
listen.
have to drain her first, Louis.
She asked if I was an angel. Me.
It's not how it happened.
Is it though? How did it happen? How the did it happen? Do we get the grave will out the truth? Do we finally get?
It is how it happened.
Holy sh!
I didn't think it at the time.
Oh, or when you were telling the story. That is how it happened. Oh my God! I'm telling you right now, if you retcon this me, oh my God, if you get to a point where you get to that climactic night, if you get to that part and it turns out Lestat didn't lay a finger on him, or if they like did equal damage to each other, oh my God, I swear, if you try to pull this on me right now, all these centuries later, he's finally coming forward with it. In that moment, that's how it actually went down. Lestat was like, no, she will be born into pain. Lestat saw it all coming a mile away. Oh my God, how many things. And now here it is. And Armand's not stopping him either. This is a story he's been telling. They've probably been, but then why does Louis feel the need to finally tell the truth now? Is it because he just genuinely couldn't recall? Was he suppressing actively? Get out of town.
Please.
Oh
I'll
my
do
God.
anything. Please, I'll be anything. Please.
You will regret this for the rest of your life.
That's how it actually
I made
happened.
her for Louis. She is my blood. I broke the second law. When you sentence them for their crimes, you sentence me too.
But you...
Fair enough.
Manipulated.
Respect.
It's all lies, right?
Trial here.
It's a whole lot. How Claudia was made, he didn't tell me what you would be. And I've played down my role in it.
That's the first time we've seen him in
You should go with
Dubai.
Lestat's version for the book, I think.
Oh.
I'm sorry. 74 years have provided
Unwelcome clarity.
Claudia was an unforeseen joy. A formidable fledgling.
Same outfit from that.
Consummate killer.
Same outfit from that night, but we have Dreamless Dots in modern day Dubai. That's crazy that he's there in Dubai right now. That means he's always there. He's always there in his mind, one way or another. 70 plus years have provided this clarity, Lestat's version of what happened, and he admits that that's truth, that that's the way that it happened. Oh my God. Oh, what's in part one is a bunch of like half truths and loose recollections and stories where he plays down his part in it. And now here we are. All right. Now I see the writing on the wall here. Some of you boys and girls that I'm sure aren't here anymore because the views from episode 1 dipped down significantly after people were like, you don't have the context of season 2. How could you say these atrocious things about this character that you have nothing about? I'm sure they're all gone. But for those of you that stuck around, like, dude, come on. I was gonna get here. Like, you think I was gonna stop after episode 1 and be like, well, they're all kind of shit, aren't they? And then just plug it off. Are we also to believe that Louis was the one obsessed with Lestat and not the other way around? That he wasn't like I don't know.
Welcome.
A consummate killer. A congenial companion. We were a happy trio. Louis coddled her, and I gifted her a predator's upbringing. But
Lunch is served.
But Claudia's defect
Perhaps we postpone.
caught up with her.
harmed herself in the sun for attention, and followed that with a killing spree. Corpses clogging the bayou. A penchant for human souvenirs.
She put yours and Louis' anonymity at risk.
The vampiress taught in the wind for 7 years. And Louis, he blamed himself, and he folded inwards. Your companion no longer wishes to share his body with you. Every word coming out of his mouth is vitriol or disinterest for 7 years.
And he waited.
You don't want to. You still hope that he'll emerge out of his melancholy, that he'll love you like you love him. What do you do? What do you do? Do you find affection elsewhere?
Wow. The whole auditorium.
Ladies and gentlemen. Later, the vampire Antoinette.
Maybe you break it off the relationship first.
7 long years, and then Claudia returned.
Interesting to see how, I mean, granted, this whole thing is kind of a kangaroo court and clearly meant not to make villains of these transgressors with quotation marks, granted, but interesting to see a room full of full of people so easily be like, oh, well, if your partner won't even acknowledge you, then yeah, go ahead and just like find someone else, which, I mean, true to an extent, but perhaps you end that relationship first, then move on. Ah, it's just too much to get into right now.
For a travel bag had hit the floor, Claudia assessed the fragility of our union. She's an artful predator. I can say that now.
Takes after Lestat.
I see the best of my vampiric self in her. She looked at me, and then she turned to Louis and said, abandon Lestat, come with me to Europe.
Oh! Now, how is his recollection go?
And you and Louis fought?
Well, at first we just slammed each other around our townhouse. 7 years of compromise.
Trying to restrain myself, Louis!
Denial.
Oh, here we go. You're telling me.
It all gave way.
Stay down, chérie. I don't want to fight like that. You start it, you finish it. It will end in your death.
Now that's believable. That's more believable.
My death? Look at your f***ing face.
I can believe that he would hold back at first.
It's all good.
You're leaving with her?
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're done. It's over. Stay where you are, okay?
You gonna leave me?
Then he probably snapped.
I'm gonna take this hand here and wrap it around that scrawny neck of yours.
Just like you did our daughter.
I ain't gonna stop until your eyes pop. And now I'm gonna find a big old butcher knife and chop your head off. And then I'm gonna walk that head all the way to Audubon Park. And I'm gonna feed it to the fucking lions. And I'm gonna... Yeah.
Is that the truth?
I'm burdened with my maker's temper.
No. You were teased until you toppled.
He tried to kill him.
Oh, did he? You used your cloud gift. You flew the accused high up into the air, then you let him fall. 2 kilometers, approximately. It's a lethal distance for a mortal, but for a vampire, it's a hard fall. Nothing more. Lestat has within his veins a most ancient blood.
My maker's
a godlike
temper.
strength. Remember, he put his fist through a priest's skull. Did you do that to the accused?
All right, yeah, yuck it up,
You
yuck
knew
it
Louis
up.
would be fine.
Did you?
And he was fine.
Lestat?
Wolf congratulated for not killing your pop.
Yes! You knew he would be fine, and he was fine.
No!
Well.
He wasn't fine. I let go of him. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an accident. I let go of him. I watched him clutch the air. I saw him swinging wild as he fell through the clouds.
The projections went off sync. Lestat went off script again.
How do you know it wasn't part of the show?
Sam was cursing to himself beside me. Read for yourself. There was no scripting, Lestat. You cannot
never
script
is.
a hurricane.
I did it to hurt him, and it did hurt him. And afterwards, he was a broken thing. I know, I saw, because I am the one who broke him. I couldn't persuade him to return my affections. I couldn't force him to love me, and so I broke him. What is worse than that? Crushing what you cannot own. I hurt the one. I hurt the only one.
Doing it again. Hurting you again.
I thought of this often in the coffin that you left me in. And I've thought of this in the years since. I will always be sorry for what I did to you.
If it's true, it's too fucking late.
I was not worthy of the forgiveness you would give me.
How do you even? I'm having so much trouble processing my emotions of how to feel about the situation, right? So the true nature of what happened that night, there's no justification to like domestic abuse and violence and all that. Like he gets physical with Claudia after feeling like he's at his wit's end with the frustrations. Him and Louis get into it. Louis once again downplayed his involvement in it. And again, this is Louis admitting this is the actual recollection of what happened. Lestat held back at first because he did not want to hurt Louis. So they both roughed each other up in like a Lestat defensive wounds against Louis. Louis trying to slam his face into coffins and all over the place. Louis gets like maniacal for a moment, which kind of tracks with the nature of his character in the past. He was a rougher thing back then, still kind of is, by the way, and that just sends Lestat off like that. Lestat's like, I don't want to do this, but I definitely can, and that sends Lestat off the deep end. Again, like not unprovoked. I can admit that. I can roll back that because now we have a full version of events. If again, it's to be believed how it happened, not unprovoked, but still. But then him admitting to it and acknowledging truly what he did in the following moments, which is, beat him to within an inch of his life. And he's like, I could not have a thing, so I broke the thing, which is, I'm surprised to hear him say it, but at the same time, it's like, it still doesn't justify what happened on either of their parts, by the way. It's definitely not chill for Louis to have said what he said and to physically assault Lestat the way he was doing as well. But then the whole thing started because Lestat, the way I still see the story going is Lestat gets physical first with Claudia, which then prompts Louis to defend Claudia as they get into it. I think I'm still justified in my outrage at the situation because I feel like the whole thing started because of Louis defending Claudia, but then, goading Lestat basically and threatening him with his life by being like, I will rip your head off and throw it to the lions and all of this. That's what I'm about to kill you right now. That's what's about to happen. Then you could make an argument saying, well, Lestat, out of anger, passion, and all this type of stuff, not only is attacking Louis, but also defending himself from Louis because Louis off a perk right there. But then for him to admit, I did what I did and I realized the impact that it had, man, I don't know. Because how often do you see someone who is an abuser and then they come with the apology video with tears later and say, I know what I did, I'm sorry, as a victim of somebody who did not physically abuse me, but emotionally abused me, whether she realized she was doing it or not. And that was the same conversation. That's tricky. This is really murky waters. We could be stuck here for hours and hours, and I shan't do that to myself or to you guys and gals, but I can speak empathetically in that I have luckily never been physically abused in that capacity, but being somebody who has been in a emotionally abusive relationship, more or less, that is the pattern of how it goes, is that they will do the thing. They will go from saying, I love you in your soul and I see you for who you are, to then being able to flip on a dime, especially if, mental ailments or illness are involved. And they can the fact that they were able to say the worst things to you, like this person that you love and care for, and time again, they find the capacity, they find that inner strength to somehow to be able to like break you down in an instant, in a moment, and be able to just like cut to the core of your soul, rip it out, spit on it, wound that, and then apologize again for it later, and then again, and then again, and then again. And time again, you forgive them because they admitted to the wrongdoing, because they admitted fault and promised they were trying to do better and showed incremental changes, but nothing ever quite stuck and became long-term. So I'm torn in that regard. I am a bit more sympathetic toward Lestat's case. A bit. And I can appreciate, and this only happened once, the end-all be-all, bare-knuckle boxing fight. Then it begs into question how much of their relationship has been a story we've been told by Louis that he tried to convince himself of, propagating the right word, that has been like a proponent of for all these years, and how much of it is just Louis disguising the truth and shielding even himself from it. I sympathize with Lestat's emotional plight. I really do. It's not an excuse for the behavior that was committed on either of their ends, by the way, on either of their ends. And Louis confirming this as truth, like that really kind of helps, stabilize me more in terms of giving more context for the scene. But it is very difficult for me to figure out where I feel emotionally in this exact moment. I'm sure the tides will once again shift as the episode progresses, but my God, brilliant scene though. Captivated. I was absolutely captivated.
Okay.
Good, and respect to him.
Nice apology. From the heart and not the page. Did it move you?
Crossed an ocean because he wanted us dead. And then something real. This is Lestat. What he does. Over and over.
Until you're left with no sense of what is or what is not.
Didn't work on me anymore. I wasn't thinking about Lestat's sincerity. I was thinking about how I was going to die. But
what?
It moved Claudia.
Really?
Right up on her feet.
Good.
Oh, oh boy.
Real pretty.
Ooh.
You dropped him like an egg from an airplane. He's fine now. You apologize. All is forgiven. We poisoned him.
A confession!
He's not dead. He's standing right here in front of us.
Madeline's waking up again.
Disorder!
Oh my God.
This working for you, Lestat?
You gotta accept my apology.
Claudia, stop. It's your big revenge!
Lydia.
Oh, whoopsie daisy. Bailiff, could you clear it up, please?
I don't know why I bothered.
Serving in the back row over there.
You didn't come here for me. One more round in the stormy romance of you two.
For real. Tell him.
Never been about me. I was just a roof shingle that flew over your house. Are we on trial? It's not a trial. It's a stoning.
It's a kangaroo court.
A stoning. Took the air out of the place with that one. Got a lot less fun real quick.
I bet.
But they had their Technicolor film, Tuan Pham's wizardry with it. And they had Lestat back in the chair, fully recovered from his apology, back on mission. Delivering his lines, picking up his cues, hypnotizing the mortals back around with the potboiler in New Orleans.
The father, duped by his ungrateful and diabolical children. The father ridiculed and humiliated in his final minutes. The mistress, extinguished in the courtyard oven.
And the mortals didn't blink. They followed the pocket watch back and forth.
That is part of the question too. I do wonder if like how much are they influencing the audience reactions. They might be using the analogy of the watch going back and forth and the metaphor of hypnotizing the audience, but are they actually? Is this a room full of people that this is their genuine reaction? Because for a while it was like a little bit too on cue, right? It was very much like hold for applause and said eruption ensues. But I'm curious like how much of these weak-minded mortals are genuinely being, I mean, they're definitely being guided along a narrative and a story that to their, as far as they're aware, is just that. It's a work of fiction, right? But there have been a lot of moments where it's been very real and like it has cut through to the audience. But all that to say, I'm just curious if any of them are actually under a spell or a hypnosis of sorts.
They had uncovered our crimes there in Paris
and sent a signal flare to America, waking the victim from his state of repose.
Oh, he was still
She
there?
had confessed. I couldn't move. Lestat would have his vengeance.
Is this what Lestat really wants, though? So I'm not going to lie, a few things happened real quick. I decided to, I don't know why I wasn't already on it, but went back to whiskey tonight, so Wild Turkey Bourbon. Had some drinky poos. I'm not going to lie, I went back and rewatched Lestat's apology a little bit, and a tear may have been shed. I also just realized those nights of random debauchery, not so random, right? Because there were reports of hooligans on the Eiffel Tower. That wasn't just them messing around and misbehaving. That was literally in the middle of their plot as they were going around and making sure all the dominoes were ready to fall and just meticulously arranging this whole production.
Lestat would have his vengeance.
I don't know if Lestat wants vengeance, though. I can't get over the ornate way of even consuming the blood. Like, sometimes he has a live tribute, but other times it's like fresh blood in a very like polished to a sheen, like Windex commercial glass with a gilded golden spoon over here, a decanter nearby, little things.
This is hard.
Yeah.
The sentencing.
For the heretical desecration of the first, third, fourth, and fifth.
Props, though. If I were to give him credit, I mean, especially right now, he's finally, there's no charade, no tricks, no narrative dissonance or anything like that. He's like, I've made some recollections, I'm having some epiphanies here. If we're going to tell the story properly, let's tell it properly. I over-embellished. I may have misled. I may have downplayed my part. This book, in a way, is like therapy for him and potentially for Armand as well. But he is laying his soul bare and doing the hard part. This was kind of my process through a little bit of therapy, but getting told by a therapist certain things. By that I mean when she gave me tools, kind of recontextualized my life, and then doing the hard work, which is that in order to do what Louis is doing and kind of progressing forward in his life and actually sorting through his trauma, you got to stop perpetuating the negative cycles and the lies you tell yourself. And not to wrap this all into a whole little soliloquy about little old me, but that it was hard. It's hard because when you're trying to work through depression and get out the other side, there is no cure-all. There is no fix. You don't drink a magic tonic. You don't talk to somebody who gives you an answer and says, do this thing, check that box, then you're all set. You're told how to do it. And then you get to a point where you realize, like, this is what I need to do to survive. Like, I either face annihilation or I face confrontation, followed by, hopefully, growth. And you won't be able to get anywhere unless you start in here and in here, and you have those internal changes. And he's facing this, and like the little outburst right here, like, this is hard. Like the rage spiked up too. But yeah, it's not easy. But most things in life that are worth doing, they ain't easy, kid. Like,
So the great lords, what say you for the vampire Claudia?
Please continue.
Look here.
Oh.
Are you not the horse a mile ahead of the cart?
The vampire Madeleine, what is her cry?
Oh, she's just a bastard fledgling, made without the knowledge or consent of the Coven Master, which is now me.
Is that
Yet
right?
she is oblivious to the crimes committed by her maker.
It is only fair that she be offered the same choice as any vampire.
This is true and fair. In accordance with vampiric law, may she not join the coven and become one with us?
She won't, though. No shot. No shot. Madeline would rather die on Claudia's side. She'd rather die than abandon the one person after all these years that she's finally found connection with. No shot.
Or die.
Oh.
Points for enthusiasm, but it is true and fair. Madeleine Epavier Heights!
Oh, she gets to speak. Oh, you're gonna let the
choice is
defendant
yours.
speak?
Will you renounce the accused you sit with and join our coven?
9. Well, no, I'm sorry. Oh, is she gonna be killed right here on the spot? I hope not, certainly.
I'm the vampire Madeleine Eparvier. And my immortal companion is Claudia. My coven is Claudia.
Told you. But now they're gonna.
Vampire heart quivereth.
The martyr skips her way to hell.
For the heretical desecration of the first of the great laws, what say you for the vampire Madeleine Eparvier? Guilty or not guilty?
Shocker. Shocker.
And there being only one sentence
You go,
applicable,
sister.
that being death. What is your sentence? The vampire Claudia, rise.
Alright, not immediately, but there's still a chance. What do you think they're all gonna
For
say?
the heretical desecration of the first, third, and fourth, and the murder of the vampire Antoinette Brown, and the attempted murder of her maker, the vampire Monsieur Lestat.
How long has this show been going on, by the way?
What say you for the vampire Claudia?
What do you think they're gonna say?
Sentence.
May I ask the court for a final request?
No.
Let her have it.
The man in the balcony wearing the hi-hat, would you kindly remove it?
Who's up there? So they could see?
I now know all your faces. If there is an afterlife, I'm gonna come back. I can kill all of you.
You can
And
bet
if there
your
isn't an afterlife,
sweet candy, yeah, she will.
I'm still gonna find a way.
Yeah, she will. I feel like Lestat still has a trick, like a card up his sleeve. It's interesting though that they're holding him guilty for laws broken outside of joining the coven. I guess you can just do that. So sure. Oh my God, spit flying over here. Total shocker. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, who first? Is it Lestat or is it Armand? One by one. Are we being slowed? Oh, it is Armand. Here we go. This is it. This is it.
Banishment.
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 Banishment!
Don't tell me.
He saved you.
It took all my strength.
You saved Louis,
Yes.
but not her.
I could not prevent it.
Oh, don't tell me. Are we gonna have a
I could not
heartbreak?
prevent it.
Banishment is not an applicable punishment.
Took the wind out of him too.
Oh, but you mortals are bastards, aren't you? Arguably, a sentence worse than death. All right, have it your way. Send him to Belgium.
I guess there really is no preventing it.
Tuck him in nice and tight.
I'm gonna guess that they didn't drive you to the Belgian border.
No.
This is the hard
I
part.
fought back. There wasn't much fight left in me. They took me to their crypt. Shoved me in a coffin, filled the coffin with rocks so I couldn't move.
One forgets how cruel vampires are.
Banished to a 2x7-foot box to starve to death.
Like all the rest, I
Join
suppose.
the damned that came before me.
And while that's going on, she's upstairs on stage.
Ask him.
He was there?
I wasn't there.
Okay. You were there.
And now for your viewing pleasure.
The lip of the stage.
A spectacle and
Arms around each other, defiant, scared, whispering last words to one another.
This is gonna kill me. Lestat's not having it though.
What you're about to see is fake. Remember that when you leave here today. You are all...
I tried to hear what Claudia was saying to Madeleine, but my mind was with Louis. What must be happening to him backstage?
And I despise you for it.
The old standby, huh?
And before Santiago pulled the blackout curtain hiding the perfectly mounted observatory lens for the perfectly timed sun in the sky above the theater.
Follow the bouncing ball.
Claudia smiled and started singing to her executioners.
I don't like windows when they're closed. I want to fly where the wild wind blows.
Claudia gave the audience her back, and Madeleine succumbed first. And you could tell from the look on Lestat's face, the last thing she saw on Earth was him.
We knew it was coming, didn't we? Oh, what else? What else, right? How else could it have? Oh, okay. No, don't go anywhere. You fucking piece of shit. Come on. You know, I'm trying to get the behind the scenes at least. Oh my god. God, even when you know what's coming, right? Like, cause like I knew either something bad happened to them or they were not in the picture anymore. But come on. Oh, how tragic! How tragic! The prophetic words of Dreamstot. I'll wait until you finally have happiness and pull it all away. And what? So is his redemptive action gonna be to free Louis and all? And Louis couldn't even be there with her in her final moments. Oh,
Episode 7,
right?
I Could Not Prevent It, refers to the death of Claudia and Madeleine, and it's unexpected, and what's revealed is definitely not expected. It's a fake setup. It's presented as though it's an actual trial with the audience in the theater as the final jury.
This is something that the audience and all of us, frankly, shooting the show, had been waiting for the whole season.
Lestat walking on stage is probably the most complex moment for Louis. There's a reason why Lestat appears as his subconscious. There's a comfort that he finds in him. But to actually see him in the flesh, I think there's a mix of, like, he doesn't know if he's really there. And I think it's like fear, excitement, fury, and a bit of relief.
It's a big deal for Louis and Lestat to see each other again. It's their turn to hurt. For us, Jacob and myself, it was a lot to do with what's their connection even when they're not looking at each other.
Yeah.
But I think as soon as he looks at Louis and as soon as Louis looks at him, I think he knows it's all over. Lestat has now lost himself in the memory. And then there's this homophobic comment which snaps him out of it. It's just another element that pushes him further and further into catastrophe.
So today we have a 5.5, 6-page scene, which is the climax of the trial in which we find out whether Claudia, Madeleine, and Louis are condemned to death by the Paris Coven. Claudia's always been a defiant character.
Respect.
And so we wanted to give her that. If she's gonna die in this way, in front of a live audience, burned to death on stage. We wanted to give her some moments of defiance before she goes out.
You dropped him.
For Claudia, in the beginning it's terror, and then it's just straight anger from then on. Anger at Louis, anger at Lestat, anger at Santiago.
And isn't it like morbidly ironic that the fire from which she's pulled through ends up being her ultimate demise, is burning alive still to ashes? Like, that's oh god, the irony.
Madeline is out of it and not really aware of what's happening. Claudia is all too aware and still so defiant. She never begs, she never gives any ground. She knows that she's right.
Madeline picks Claudia, and that is all Claudia's ever needed to hear, is to be put first. So in that moment, it's acceptance of her circumstance. Even till her death, she's a fighter. One thing about Claudia that I really love is she will always give it her all, and you'll always get her all.
And can kill all of you.
For Claudia, it's a promise. It's not
censored in the behind the scenes. What's the point?
It's a promise. She has Lestat's blood. If they do anything, it's come back with a vengeance.
She coming back from that. Perhaps she'll find a way. Also, I don't really care too terribly much about what he decides to do after this, which I'm sure might contribute to the freeing of Louis, because there's still that love there. But him letting all this happen is still complacency. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, they tried to murder him and all that. Yeah, but he didn't. Like they didn't, did he? Like, he's a smart enough man, vampire, monster to know what Louis' intentions were and not throwing his ass into the incinerator. Like, he knows. And it's not great what happened, but neither is, what they've done to each other over the course of all of this, just like, everything. It's one thing for them to suffer as, suffer like G did, for like to suffer like in a similar circumstance. I feel like the whole Kangaroo court is suffering enough, right? But at the same time, it is very much like what Armand said. The best Armand could do was try and save the love of his life, which is Louis, which has literally used every ounce of everything he had as Coven Master, these hundreds of years and centuries of power, to like get the whole audience to not let Louis be killed immediately, effectively saving his life. So if Armand couldn't do it, Louis couldn't do it. Or Lestat rather couldn't do it. I don't know. I don't even know if Lestat would want to have done it in this moment, but perhaps there is simply that's as succinct and straightforward of an answer as there can be. I could not prevent it. Boom, that's the answer. Like, even if anybody wanted to save anybody, they're outnumbered. Even if each of these individual vampires are not as powerful as Armand or perhaps even Lestat, but Armand in this case, he just simply could not do. And the best that he could do was to have Louis be, buried downstairs.
Claudia's death represents Louis' last connection to this world. This is a striking and painful episode.
When Claudia protects Madeline in that moment, it's out of sheer love.
Louis feels deeply responsible for her. It is his biggest regret that he couldn't save her.
It's the thing that's haunted everyone. The fact he couldn't protect her, he couldn't keep her alive. Like, a big part of Louis' acceptance of the gift and of his nature is knowing that Claudia really did embrace it. She was a brilliant vampire.
Yeah, I want to see Santiago rip the fuck apart, honestly. If you ask my not so humble opinion. Oh my god. God, that's how you know it's a good prequel, right? I mean, because technically all the interviews are prequels of what's to come, and we knew. Well, I don't know about we collectively, maybe you guys and gals read the books. As an outsider here, I knew there's a plain as day reason that Claudia and Madeline are not around, like period. Like, I knew that Claudia, I was like, well, either she is off gallivanting around somewhere else in the world, or she is simply no longer with us. And even knowing that what's given there, it's still, God, that still hurts. What a fantastic episode. You guys weren't lying. I've said it once, I'll say it again. As good as season 1 was, season 2 is like Loki kind of blowing it out of the water. I'm not gonna lie, it's great stuff. We only have one more to go. That's the real tragedy here. That's the real sadness. Now, granted, we're gonna get a season 3. I'm very excited for that. Once season 2, once I've caught up and it's over, I will be, I don't know if there's like teasers or anything like that available yet, but I'll definitely be waiting with bated breath like the rest of you for more. Like, let's see all these books adapted, right? Seeing Lestat make his grand reappearance, like, oh yeah, the Lestat apology really gets me, and then the execution at the end gets to me a lot. But man, I already spoke to most of it earlier, but it's definitely interesting, and if I wasn't already emotionally conflicted, I'm still heavily conflicted. Again, there's still one more episode to go, but I don't think I'm gonna get my solo Lestat episode that I so desperately desire. I know there's a book, the Vampire Lestat, that I could read and go and pour over and get more context. But at the end of the day, so far, I still think my initial reaction to the domestic abuse scene, and even like Louis didn't confirm it, but even the whole nature of the courtship, like in episode 1, because my initial reaction was, oh, it was predatory. The only points that Louis sided with Lestat on were when it got to the point about that night and how violent things got and who did what and who said what. And with Lestat's accounting and Louis saying, no, that's actually how it happened, I'll accept that as gospel, right? Until the apology, I feel like Lestat is still hamming it up for the camera, so to speak, and he's still kind of perpetuating this narrative of how he believes he is the righteous and just one. So unless I'm mistaken, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, maybe by Louis' admittance of that fateful assault-ish night, perhaps that gives cause for the entire series of events to be called into question. But I mean, as far as I'm aware, still, like, episode 1 is still pretty, like, canonical in terms of, I kind of found Lestat to be kind of predatory in terms of how he was like, come to me, and trying to, romance the stone being Louis. It's a lot to think about. Very emotionally complex. I want to, like, sit on it, like, simmer on it for the night for sure. Great stuff, though. I'm not empathetic to Lestat's cause, but I'm a bit more sympathetic. Like, I believe the love is there, right? I believe the love is there. I believe how that evening transpired, but I still also know how it ended ultimately. And by Lestat's own admittance, I'm sure of guilt and passion there, where it's like, no, I couldn't have it, so I broke it. Like, that also kind of further, condemns himself, but solidifies my opinion. But again, ultimately, it's like I could say Lestat's not a great guy all day long, but nobody, nobody really is, right? Like, man, oh man, jeez. Oh, but Claudia strong till the end, strong throughout, didn't give way. What an absolute goddamn shame. That's the nature of it, I suppose, right? We have one more to go, don't we? After this, we have one final episode, the finale of Interview avec le Vampire. Also, very limited behind the scenes. Normally, it's a lot longer than that, but I guess they, kind of keep it succinct, keep it brief, but killer episode. In any case, thank you guys so much for watching, as always. I appreciate the love and support. Once I finish the series, like I said, I'll probably do a retrospective, like, video / live stream of sorts. I did the same thing with Succession. Back after I finish that, and then I'll kind of like do a live stream where I go back through, I talk about the episodes. I don't know about like ranking per se, but talk about the show. And most importantly, normally I'm very good about responding to comments, but I've been advised to avoid the comment section on this show because ooh, boy, oh boy, as popular as this show is and as loving and supportive as the community and the fans are, man, there's some like cutthroats out there. So I'm going to go back through, read through comments, probably respond to some, like, now that I have, I'm caught up with the rest. Granted, books could still spoil what happens, but that's just kind of the nature of things, right? And we'll probably, like, go over things and then, kind of see what Season 3 is being teased as so far. In the meantime, if you watch this on Patreon, thank you so much for the support. These are full, uncut, uncensored episodes that are basically delivered to patrons early, so there's that. Appreciate it. YouTube, I recognize these are very popular on YouTube, or more popular rather, so I try to edit them in a way where we're not losing too much in the overall episode itself. I stream whenever I can, gaming by myself, or more often now with my partner, Darkwave Surf. So twitch.tv/MovieMan101. So I hope I didn't I think I was more cognizant of the flow in this episode. I'm trying to take advice from my audience as well and try to find breaks. Not unless I really have to get a thought out. I try not to pause right in the middle of a scene, but rather once certain sequences and segments have played out. So I'm trying to both stick to my laurels about how I do these things, but also I do want to hear you out because I want this experience to be, I want us all to be amiable, to be amicable over here. I want us to have a mutually assured pleasant experience. Thank you, as always. I love you for it, the support and such. Next episode, let's free Louis, let's burn down the theater, let's kill Santiago, and we'll see if we're still worthy in Dubai, if not San Francisco. And I'll see you then. Love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, travelers.